Hello, welcome to a new video. My name is Prince Mason. Today I am going to be showing you how to color grade your images and get amazing skin tones in Capture One. Now recently I've been talking to a few people on Clubhouse. If you're on Clubhouse and you're watching this, then you can definitely follow me and join our rooms where we talk about everything photography, from retouching to camera gear and probably even the business of photography. But yes, I've been talking to a few people on Clubhouse recently and I kind of like noticed that a lot of people that are transitioning from Lightroom to Capture One find it difficult to color grade in Capture One. So I just want to do a quick tutorial to show you how to get really pro looking images in Capture One. It's simple, it's easy. All you have to do is just follow the steps that I'll show you. So this is our image. Let me show you our before. This right here is our before, and this is our after, after color grading the image. So what I'm going to do right now is just reset this image, and it might not be the exact same color grade, because obviously I'm just doing this from the top of my head and trying to show you a few tips and tricks to get your images to look like that. But if you learn the steps and you learn how these I'd say these tools work, then you'd be able to then you'll be able to color grade any image in Capture One and get it to look the exact way you want it to look, right? Okay, great. So this right here is the after. This is our before, and this after retouching. Now, what I'm going to do right now is undo and show you guys what this looks like. So this right here is our color graded image. This is our straight out of camera color graded image in Capture One. And there's after. So if you are eager to learn how to retouch, you want to take your retouch into a whole new level, then definitely check out my retouching masterclass. I'll put a link in the description below. It's a course that is going to take you through retouching 3 professionally shot images and just help you take your retouch into a whole new level. You're going to practice from scratch, from frequency separation all the way to micro dodge and burn, and how to color grade your images in Photoshop. Just definitely check that course out. Also, if you want to color grade in Photoshop, then I have some amazing skin tone lots that you guys can check out. I'll put a link to those 2 in my description, and also my retouching essentials pack that has 14 amazing actions that will help you retouch better and retouch faster. Links are in the description. Definitely check those out if you want to take your retouch into a whole new level. Okay, great. Now let's get straight into retouching this image. So I'm just going to reset this, and what we're going to go to is our exposure panel right here. Now in our exposure panel, there are a few things that you can do here. It's almost like Lightroom. If you're coming from Lightroom, you have your exposure right here, so you can either use your exposure, increase it. You have your contrast, you have your brightness, you have your saturation. Now these are tabs these are sliders that I almost never use, because I try to get my exposure to look as perfect as possible in camera, so I never use those. But if you have to, then you guys know exactly how they work. Your exposure slider, your contrast, add some more contrast to your image. You have your brightness slider to make your image brighter, and you have your saturation to add more saturation to your image. Very simple and straightforward, right? Great. Now let's come down to our highlights tab. Now before I start working down here on the highlights tab, what I always do is come here and turn on my exposure warning. Now if you don't have your exposure warning on, all you have to do is probably just right click up here and go to customize bar, and you can always just drag and drop your tools that you need to use in your toolbar here. So that's that. Once I turn on my exposure warning, right, if I take my highlights up all the way and probably take my shadows up all the way, you guys can see these red dots that are here. Maybe I'm just going to go to my exposure. You guys can see this right here. This is my this is Capture One telling me that these places right here are blown out. If I go all the way up, you can see Capture One is telling me that these places right here are blown out. So if I turn off my exposure warning, you can see how blown out they are. But sometimes you think they're blown out and your exposure warning does not come on, and your exposure warning is just telling me that that's fine, that place is not blown out yet. So the first thing I always do right here in Capture One is just dragging my whites for my levels, right? and maybe just add some contrast by dragging in my blacks. So maybe just take this to 2. So this is how I typically add contrast to my image instead of using the contrast slider right here. This is exactly how I add some contrast to my image. So somewhere around here is fine. I might come back later to adjust this, but this is totally fine. Another thing I always do is come down here to my luma curve. So my luma curve, I am not really affecting my colors, just the tonal range of my image. So just add a slight S curve to my image. Great. So you guys can see right now it still seems like the image is dark, but that's totally fine. We are just at our starting point right now. So the next thing I want to do is come to my highlights right here. As you guys can see, we have this part of our outfit blown out, and that's totally fine, but I'm just going to drag my highlights down, and that's what it does. You can take it up, you can drag it down, but I always leave my exposure warning on for the most part. Next thing I want to do is just increase my shadows a little bit, just a tiny bit. As you guys can see, the top part of this image is a little bit dark, so I just want to do that for my shadows to bring that up a little bit. So if I take that out, you guys can see what it looks like now. If I take it back up, you guys can see that it's looking really good. I might also pull my whites down just to make sure that my whites are not blown out. So what I'm doing right now right here is just adjusting my exposure. At this point, I am not color grading the image. To color grade your image, you need your exposure to look perfect, and then you can color grade your image. So what we're doing right here right now is still just adjusting the exposure of my image. At this point, my image looks nice, properly exposed. It's totally fine if I have these hot spots right here. I really don't care if some tiny parts of the image are ever exposed. It's totally fine for me as long as the image looks great. Your images do not have to look perfect, to everybody. It can just look perfect to you. So this looks perfect to me right now. Okay, great. So the next thing I want to do is move over to my color tab right here. So right here you have everything from your color editor, you have your color balance, and these are the 2 tabs that we're going to be working on, our color editor and our color balance. So the first thing I want to do is change the color of the background. That's the first thing that I want to do. Now I love how this looks, but this was not the color I was going for, and this is just color grading 101. You just mess around with colors till you find something that you're looking for, right? So I was looking for more of a teal color while I was shooting this, but because I was in a hurry that day, I just decided to go with anything. So this blue just worked because I knew I was going to be able to fix it in post. Now with your color editor, all you have to do is come here, down here, click on your color picker tool, and then once you click here, what Capture One is going to do is Capture One is going to create a new color tab for you. Can you guys see that right here? So this is your color tab. So it's almost like creating color layers for you, where you can toggle on and toggle off different layers, right? So for example, if I want to change the color of this red, right, if I click this, instead of Capture One opening it on the same tab up here, what it's going to do for me is that it's going to create a new tab or a new layer down here with those colors, and I can adjust them separately. That's the beautiful thing about adjusting colors in Capture One, right? So we don't need the second one, and we're just going to work with the first one. So with the first one, what I want to do is just mess around with the hue saturation and get it to a place that I like. So maybe somewhere around here. If you guys can see, if I go forward, I'm probably adding some greens into the blues by dragging the hue saturation down, and then I can mess around with the saturation too. I can desaturate it, or I can make it more saturated. But what's happening is that it's just messing with those colors that are at the back. So what I'm going to do is just desaturate this a little bit, and then I can make it darker, or I can make it lighter. But what I need is for this to just be a tad bit darker. Okay, great. So now we are getting into our color grading. Remember, at first what we were doing was just working on our exposure to make sure our image was properly exposed. We worked on our shadows, our highlights, to make sure that our subject is standing out and our subject looks good. You probably do not need to do that for every image, but it's always good to get that out of the way before you start color grading. Okay, great. Now the next thing I want to do is work on skin tones, and this is the beautiful thing about Capture One. The fact that you can work on things independently and individually is amazing, right? So all I have to do is click my color picker tool again and pick a part of my subject skin tone that I like, right? So maybe somewhere like here. Great. And now what I can do is adjust the hue of my subject skin tone, right? Now this tutorial is not going to be an advanced color grading tutorial, because there are a lot of things that you can do when it comes to color in Capture One. But what we're going to do is just keep it basic for people that are coming in and people that are learning, so you know the steps, and if you decide to go advanced, then you can do that, right? Okay, great. So what we're going to do right now is just take our hue forward a little bit, and what we're doing by doing that is that we are making sure that we're adding some type of I would say gold feel to our image. If we take our hue backwards, we're going to be adding magenta, and if we take our hue forward just a little bit, we're going to be adding some nice greens to our image. And if you add that to your skin tones, then your image looks really, really nice, right? Then I'm going to add some saturation, because I just feel like it looks flat, so I'm just going to add some saturation to make our model pop, our model skin tone pop, right? And then for lightness, I'm just going to leave it the way it is, but you can either make it darker so you guys can see, or you can make it lighter. But I'm just going to double click and take that back to 0. Then uniformity is how even you want the whole skin to look. So for uniformity, I'm just going to drag that up, and as you guys can see, the whole skin, if it's at 0, you can see that her contour here stands out, right? If it's at 100, you can see that the contour kind of blends with the whole reds and oranges in the image, right? And we don't want it to blend out too much, so we're just probably going to use it somewhere. I'm going to use something maybe the value of 30 to 40, and this is what our image looks like right now. So what I'm going to do is hold Option and show you guys a before and after real quick. So if you hold Option and you click your before and after, before, after, before, after, before, after, before, after, so you guys can see we're getting skin tones to look really nice at this point. So it has this orange teal look, which I absolutely love when it comes to images, my studio images, right? Especially if I shoot it against a canvas backdrop. Okay, great. So now what we want to do is work on our highlights, our shadows, and our midtones with our color wheel. So now what we're going to do is tone our image using our highlights, midtones, and shadows, right? For our three-way color corrector, because that's what this is called normally. Well, right here in Capture One is called your color balance. So the first thing I want to do is just take down my highlights a little bit. Now you can decide to go up with your highlights and see the effect it gives you, but typically for me, I'll just bring my highlights down a bit, then bring my midtones down a bit, and then go to my shadows and just pull my shadows just pull it down a tad bit, right? And let me just show you guys what this looks like right now. So this right now is before, and this is after. Just add some nice tonal range to our image, right? Okay, great. Now the next thing I want to do is go to my highlights, and it depends on what color I'm trying to put in my highlights. If I want to add some warmth to my highlights, all I have to do is just drag this circle right here in the middle. If you double click, it goes back to the middle. All I have to do is just drag it up to get my highlights looking warm, right? But that's not the look I'm going for. So I'm going to pull my highlights back a little bit, add some teal to my highlights, and then for my midtones, what I'm going to do is probably just add some warmth to my midtones, just somewhere around here, right? Okay, great. And then for my shadows, what I'm going to do is add some warmth to my shadows too. Okay, great. So now let's see what our image looks like before, and let's see what it looks like after. Looks great. So typically at this point, I'm done color grading my image. I've taken it from where it is here before again and look at after. So what I can do right now is look at where my highlights are starting from. So I can just drag this in right now and get my highlights to just pop a little more. So if I turn on my exposure warning right now, you guys can see everything looks properly exposed. Now to add some sharpness or clarity to my image, I might just add a little clarity and a little structure to my image, and that's about it. This is how you color grade to get a look like this in Capture One. Very simple, very easy. All you have to do is get your exposure right, so just work with your exposure tab and then go to your color tab and work with your color editor and your color balance, which is your 3-way color corrector. That's about it. Very simple, very easy. You can mess around with this. You can make your highlights pop even more if you want, but typically I like my images to look like this, because after this I'm going to take you into Photoshop and get it to look like this. And like I said, if you want to learn how to retouch amazing pictures, you want to take your retouching to a whole new level, check out my retouching masterclass. The link is in the description below. Just go to theretouchingmasterclass.com, and if you want my skin tone LUTs to get your skin tones to look amazing in Photoshop, and also you want to get my retouching essentials pack to help you retouch better and retouch faster, I'll put a link to all those in the description below, and I have some freebies right there in my digital store too that you can check out. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Please subscribe, and comment below, let me know if this helped you in any way. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have an amazing day. Peace out, guys.